Right, welcome back to the Young Fan Podcast, and it is our January reflection. I'm excited. I really, really am. I'm joined by Tom. This time we're live. Tom, how you doing, mate? You okay? I think you've muted
Sorry,
yourself,
long
Tom.
time
You've
no
muted yourself.
see.
There
That
we
was
go.
terrible. That was awful.
No,
Yes, very well. How are you?
I'm all good. I'm all good. It's going to be really, really interesting. We're going to do our reflection. We normally do reflections at the start of the next month, but we normally do it pre-recorded. This one's live, so you can get involved. I already see some amazing comments coming in. We'll be bringing up some of them in due course and throughout this evening. 45 minutes, we think, but depends where the conversation goes. It's going to be really, really good. It probably won't be. It probably won't be 45 minutes, but we've said 45 minutes. We'll have to just see where that conversation goes. Lots to talk about, lots of debate. We're going to start with, if you don't mind, Tom, Oxford. Look, we normally start, and yeah, I don't know why I'm putting myself through it. I don't know why we're putting ourselves through it, but I feel like it's got to be said. We've got to have a little bit of a conversation about it, and I'm intrigued to see what you've got to say.
Oh, me?
We're struggling. Well, yeah. I mean, you can get involved. You can have a little chat as well.
Go on, yes, with it.
We're struggling at the moment. We really, really are. And somebody that's struggling even worse than the fans, I mean, that's argued, but I think he is in a bit of trouble, certainly under a lot of pressure, is, of course, our manager, Karl Robinson. I'm a bit worried about his future, whether he is or not. I'm not entirely sure. He seems to think he's going to be in charge for as long as he thinks at the moment. It doesn't seem like anyone's going to sack him. So he is the manager, and he does remain the manager. But 3 straight defeats: Wycombe, Burton, and of course yesterday against Barnsley. It's slightly better in the second half against Barnsley, but unfortunately the league table, the form, and ultimately the results don't lie. We have been really, really poor. And look, everyone's going to, I didn't do a video after those last 2 games. I haven't really spoken on YouTube about Robinson and about that. I mean, what is a really difficult situation for him and the football club. And I am going to sort of do a little bit of a conversation and just discuss it now. Intrigued to see what you've got to say in the live chat as well. But I'm a little bit, I feel as I'm stuck a little bit. I am stuck. We're 5 seasons into his time. And unfortunately, I think we probably are coming to the end of it. For me right now, and I want to be a little bit more mature than in or out, because there is more to conversation. Actually, I think if you strip it back completely, the bottom line is the football club is failing. The football club on the field is failing, and that is not something that we want to see. So when people are sort of speaking about Robinson, and I will not celebrate if Robinson gets sacked, because that ultimately means, I said this to you before we went live, by celebrating that he's been sacked, by celebrating that he's gone, although maybe there could be greener grass on the other side, we are failing, and we wouldn't be in this situation if we're winning games of football. And so it is a really, really big shame. So, and of course, you've got to be sensible with it as well. We've got to be really, really sensible, because we've seen online as well at the moment. It has gone a little bit too far. Let's keep it professional. Let's keep it mature. Let's look at it from a football perspective right now. Unfortunately, we are regressing. We are year on year, unfortunately, lowering down in league position. And unfortunately, now this is the lowest of the low. It feels like, and like I said, there is a lot of sort of toxic atmosphere on social media. But let's keep this mature. Let's keep this a quite controlled conversation and keep it to the football, because that is what it's all about. And look, it isn't going very well. There's lots of direction we can go with it. But Tom, from your purely external perspective, not an Oxford fan, how do you see it? We speak on a regular basis. You know how I feel. I've sort of given you a slight monologue on how I feel now. It is sad, and it also is really frustrating. The fans do deserve better. We're not playing very well. But how do you see it from a purely neutral perspective? Because it's tough to be part of it, I'll be honest.
I agree with Robert, mate. I think Karl Robinson's had more than enough time. I think he's been there for, you were saying earlier, 5 years. Am
Roughly
I right in
5
saying
seasons,
that?
Yeah.
5 seasons. It's difficult because I'm not an Oxford United fan, so it's difficult for me to come on and say, yes, he's got to go, or no, he hasn't. And I appreciate what you're saying in terms of being more mature than a simple yes or no, in or out, stick or twist. My concern would be, who is a better man for the job if he does go? Is there likely to be anyone to take on this Oxford United side with 20 games to go, 18, 19, 20
Roughly.
games to go of the season? What are you as fans actually expecting from this League One season as well? Are you expecting to compete at the business end? Are you after a playoff spot? Are you hoping for more than that? Or are you content with playing football in League One for the foreseeable? That's kind of questions you got to ask yourselves. What would you, as an Oxford fan, would you say you want to? Because you got to remember, we had a conversation about this earlier. You actually have had playoff success under Karl Robinson. You beat us over 2 legs, and you went to Wembley with him, albeit that didn't end up quite the way that would have wanted it to, or you guys would have wanted it to. But you've had these moments with him. You look back and you can pinpoint various different days where it's been a successful day under Karl Robinson. You've had success at Fratton Park. You've had success against us at your place under Karl Robinson. I remember the Barnstormer 3-2 win when Joe Morrell was sent off inside 15 minutes. That was a good day for Karl Robinson. I'm sure you can tell us loads and loads of different examples of that. So I'm torn, mate. Rock and a hard place.
Yeah, and that's sort of where I am. I'm not in this sort of shouting down the camera. That's probably why I didn't do the Burton video. I didn't do the Barnsley video. I didn't do a Wickham dedicated video. I think I did touch on Wickham in a video after that. But like you say there, it hasn't been 5 seasons of failure. It hasn't been 5 seasons of ultimate failure. And define success, everyone's got a different definition for it. If success is getting to a playoff final, a playoff semi-final, and playing a really good brand of football and having some really, really good moments along that time, then yes, he has been a success. I don't think he's been an ultimate success, but he has been, if that's how you define it. Or do you define success as, in his own words, becoming a top 30 club in England? Of course, that means promotion. And we haven't done that. We're still in League One. So that's, in that sense of it, we failed. So it's all about defining it in the way that you see it. And I don't want to sort of get this twisted and get this mixed up, because I want to be honest, as honest I would be if this wasn't recorded and this wasn't live and this wasn't, you can go back and watch this after, which you will be able to. It will be going up as a video.
You've had a donation from Matt, by the way.
We have a donation. I'll come back to that, Matt. I've just seen that. I'll definitely read that. Thank you very much. And I was going to say, on top of the sort of how I feel about it now, without being like you say, very, very torn, I do think it's time for him to go for many reasons. For the fans' perspective, I think it's point of view, I think it's definitely time to go. I don't see how he gets the fans back now. I just don't. We talk about a manager wanting to sort of get hold of the fans in a metaphorical sense. I don't see the way he can do that now. I think it's too far gone. From his point of view as well, he's ruining a reputation. He's ruining what he did, what he has done as a manager.
By staying, he's doing that.
By staying, right. I think. And again, that's not nice. I think what he's done for the community, what he's done outside of Oxford United, and what he's done on the pitch, but certainly outside of it, I think what he's done for Oxfordshire, what he does for charity, how he's actually brought along a lot of new fans as well. The attendances have been much better since he's come in. Again, that's down to his good style of play for a lot of the time as well. What he has done, and we shouldn't forget about that, because we are better than that, and we have to sometimes just strip it back, but also at the same time contradict that and look at it from a sort of deeper perspective. And unfortunately, we are in a really, really difficult moment right now. I don't want to sound like Karl Robinson. That's what he's been saying a lot, difficult moments. And I'm a little bit fed up of hearing it. But we are, he's not wrong. It is frustrating as a fan because you don't want to be in many difficult moments. But he is right. He is right. He does speak the truth in that sense. We are, struggling right now. But yeah, I think all in all, without going on for hours and hours, because we could have an ongoing debate for 2-3 hours about this and no one wants to hear that. We are in a really, really challenging time. He is personally, the fans are as well. We've got Shrewsbury at the weekend. That's not going to be easy. We'll come on to Shrewsbury. They've done really well this month. So this is not going to be an easy test for him. Is it, sack or, is it win and win or sack? I don't think it is, to be honest with you. Deep down, I don't see the board, whoever the board is, whoever is in charge of getting rid of him. We don't know. Does the chairman, does the CEO, does the managing director, does the owners over in I want to say Indonesia, but I think they have got some Malaysian links as well. That's where the chairman lives. So again, I don't know who it is. And again, that's a big problem as well. Who is in charge and who can make that big decision and make that big call? I don't know. He hasn't had the vote of confidence, which he'll probably see as a good thing. So there's been no communication. That's what makes it worse as well. No communication at all. It's almost just like it's an ongoing thing of, we lose a game, let's move on, forget about it, let's do it again. But unfortunately, this sort of landslide does have to stop. And right now, it doesn't look like it's stopping. It's unfortunately gaining some annoying and quite concerning momentum. But we'll have to see how it goes. Let's go back to the super chat because we don't want to speak about this all night, but there are problems. Matt. Thank you so much. We have Matt on the deadline day stream, and his chat is you'll get it if you were there. You'll definitely get it. Could do with Ryan Hard at the moment. Ajax with a winky emoji. Thank you very much, Matt, for that donation and comment. We could do a Ryan Hardy. I'll be honest, although he's up for sale, I don't think we're going to get him, unfortunately. Ryan Hardy will not be coming to Oxford United. If you know, you know, of course. I've just seen as well, David Jones regularly in here. Cowley's an Oxford Jack. How's the grab yet? Would we go with Danny Cowley? Personally, for me, I know Tom's spoken very highly of Danny Cowley. I wouldn't go for Danny Cowley. I think it's quite a difficult one. I think and mainly because, and look, I don't want to sound ungrateful. I don't want to sound like because the grass isn't always greener, but we would be pointing. So our expectation, whether you like it or not, whether our football club should be reaching that level, is to get promoted. Unfortunately, Danny Cowley has just been sacked from a club that also have that ambition.
So that's the reason why I wouldn't go for him then?
Probably. I don't know whether or not that's the most exciting appointment we could go for, but I'd take anyone right now. So to be honest with you, I'm not gonna be would you say that? Would you agree or not?
Don't forget Graham's comment. He said, "Enjoy your analysis of Wednesday versus Plymouth." So
thank you very much,
good
Graham.
work from Graham. Thank you for that.
Cheers,
I'm sure Jack very much appreciates that. I haven't actually, can I be honest with you, I haven't managed to watch that yet because we were preparing.
It's fun.
Well, we were preparing for this.
I'll let you off this time once.
Well, I was trying to get home as quick as I could so that I wouldn't miss the start of the stream. Would you, with Danny Cowley at Oxford?
Would you agree what I said about? I don't know whether we have similar ambitions, whether we should or not, because we're not the same size as Pompey, and we're one of the smaller clubs in League One, and I don't want to sound like
no, you're not. That's not right. You're not one of the smaller clubs in League One. There's a lot smaller clubs in League One.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say we're not as big as Portsmouth. Ultimately, whether you like it or not, we're not. But
there's bigger clubs than Portsmouth in League One.
There is. But that's where Danny Cowley was before. So let's look at it from that position. We're not silly in thinking that we should be getting promoted based on the size, based on finances as well. It's not about size of football club, really. It's about finances. If you've got a bit of Wonga, you can spend. So we haven't got that either. Would you agree, or am I being unfair? I don't know. I just don't know if getting rid of someone like Karl Robinson, who would be getting sacked because we're not in the top 6, because we're not going for promotion, going and pointing a manager that has also probably had a little bit more money to spend at Portsmouth than he would at Oxford. I'm happily able to say that. And also, Pompey want to be in and around top 6, if not higher, but certainly the minimum of top 6. And when he got sacked, and the reason he got sacked was because you got nowhere near that. Is that unfair? I don't know. I'm being unfair, Tom. Tell me.
Jake reckons Cowley would be a cracking appointment, but Jake's got as much of a love affair with Danny Cowley as I did when he was at our football club.
But I do respect Jake's opinion, of course. I love Jake.
Gets you all singing from the same hymn sheet at Oxford. Sorry, I've read that awfully, but you get the gist. You can all see it. I massively agree with that. It's a tough one because yes, he is fresh off the back of some horrendous last couple of months of League One management. There's make no bones about it, because it was awful. And it was a very much a sinking ship that we really needed to get sorted quickly. Otherwise, we were going to completely submerge. Luckily, we seem to have managed to, all back on HMS, insert word here, the league. Only 2 wins out of 3, of course, but you get the gist.
And he has, I think, what you said there, the lifts across the morale of the fan base and the players have lifted as well. That's what he's brought, John Mousinho, and that was very low when Danny Cowley, got sacked.
That's what you need now, though, isn't it? You need a lift. You need a kind of a hairdryer, a James Corden in the England camp as Smithy from Gavin and Stacey moment, don't you? To really go, look, come on, boys, we can kind of do this. My thing would be, what are the other names in the hat?
Well, I'm going to bring Matthew Bow's chat up here. He speaks a lot of sense and he's always on the channel. Would you be happy with Michael Appleton? Of course, yeah. Michael Appleton, someone that was at Oxford United before. Jake can give us more insight on Michael Appleton, of course, at Lincoln City. He was at Blackpool.
Tom might be able to as well, as an ex-Pompey manager.
Yes. Sorry, Tom. I just think it was recent, but that's fine. Yeah. I was going to say, no, I think that's, again, we could look at Michael Appleton. Is that just based on nostalgia? Maybe. But again, I'm not doubting he's a good, he is a good manager. We've had him before. It makes sense. He's out of work. It sort of ticks all the right boxes. Would I take Kolo Touré? Absolutely not. So I'm looking at, sorry, Kolo, if you're watching, I doubt you are.
Sorry, Kolo.
But you've got to look at, I think he probably is the most obvious appointment, Michael Appleton. But actually, do you go with somebody now, or do you wait until the summer? Do you bring someone in to sort of really just sort of steady the ship? I don't know. But right now, like you say, it's so low. Fan base is just in the mud. I mean, we had a really poor attendance for Barnsley. Look, people aren't going to games at the moment. I know it's a Tuesday night, but Barnsley. think it's 7,000. We're normally, in and around sort of at least 9,000 this season, 8 or 9,000, which, doesn't sound like much, but you could see clearly. I watched the game and I follow so many empty seats. Dad and Tom, brother, just exposed my brother's name. It's fine. He was at the game, and he even said the whole vibe around it was really, really low and quite depressing ultimately. And right now, even from watching it through a phone and not being there, it does sound and feel just a bit deflated and dejected. And I feel it's like it's deja vu, because it was exactly what you were telling me in the last one before you signed, or before you appointed John Mousinho, and when Danny Cowley had just lost his job. And it is almost like deja vu. We've just sort of reversed footballing feelings right now. And I'll be honest, Tom, I felt for you then, but this is what it's like, and I don't like it.
Feels like a bit of a call between me and you when you drop your brother's name into the conversation, doesn't it? You kind of forget that you're live on YouTube. It's a good name though. Top tier name.
It is a good name, and I think that's what it is. It's a conversation. If you just join us, by the way, for these for the live reflections, these are really relaxed. And people say, "Do you reckon you edit the other ones?" No, we don't. This is exactly what it's like in all of them. This is literally, it's just a conversation about the month. And we don't normally talk about 17 minutes of Oxford United, but I think this month is. And we will move on. Don't worry, we've got a lot to get through. But just Oxford are in a real concern at the moment.
Before you do move on, we had a really bad one against Charlton on New Year's Day, and I was walking out the ground, and I remember uploading the video to YouTube. And there's a little post-match bit that I do at the end of every video where we're walking back to the car, and I just kind of outleash. That's not the right word, is it? What's the word I'm looking for?
Unleashed.
Unleash. Thank you. You just kind of. You unwind, and you just kind of say what's on your mind, and then I trim it down and get the best out of it. My words were, I don't see how you come back from that. I'm sorry. There's no turning back from that. You're past the point of return. The reaction that the fans got. So that, and if that's exactly how you feel, then the board have got to take action, mate, I'm afraid. Because you can't have, and is there lots of booze? Is there abuse at Karl Robinson?
It's booze. And I want to say this as well, like I said at the start, and the reason why it's a bit of a I'm going to describe it as a flappy start, is because I want to word this in the right way, because I want to watch this back, or I don't normally watch my content back, but don't worry, I'm not that, I don't enjoy myself that much, but I do want to sort of reflect on it after, reflect on a reflection and go, I think I said the right things. And I want to make sure I said the right things at the right time. This has to be done. The reason why I kept saying sensible and maturity when talking about football is because, let's just get this straight. Karl Robinson's a human being, and he is somebody in work right now doing his job, like you work, like I work, like Tom works. Everybody is doing their day-to-day job. And similar to what you said about Danny Cowley, whether you like Karl Robinson or not, whether you think he's a good manager, whether you think he's a bad manager, whether you want to stay, whether you want him to go, he's a human being. And unfortunately, he is failing at his job right now, and he's not, and he knows that. He's not silly. He's not coming out. I think some of his post-match interviews and press conferences have been, again, frustrating, annoying. But he will be inside, whether he says it or not, and he has said it a couple of times publicly. He knows this is not going very well. He knows that things aren't looking good, and he will know he's under pressure, and he'll be feeling that pressure as well. But let's not. I'm seeing social media. It's some of the abuse that he's getting, his family's getting. It's football. Can we just remember that as well? I know we talk about football all the time, and I don't want to sort of underestimate the importance of football, because no one's doing that. We all love football, hence why we do this and chat about it all the time. But this is his job, and this is football, and some of it is obviously too far. Let's just keep it based on topic, and unfortunately, it isn't going very well. But there has to be a level of sensible action when discussing it.
What do you make of Andrew's comment? If Oxford had any doubts about the manager, they wouldn't have let Mousinho go to Pompey. What do you reckon? It's a good point.
It's a really good point, actually, Andrew. Not really one that I thought about in depth, but I can sort of give you my brief thoughts on it. I don't think that the board want to sack Karl Robinson at all, and so I don't see why. I can see why they'd let him go, and also as well, John Mousinho can almost push for the move. And as well, imagine if John Mousinho, they said, no, we are having a couple of doubts. John Mousinho, you can't take this opportunity for the first time management to go and join Portsmouth. And then he goes and Robinson wins the 3 games that we have just lost. Massive if, and that is far from what we could even imagine right now. But it's a possibility. You go and win 3 games, and you've just said no to John Mousinho leaving the football club. You've got Mousinho absolutely fuming, because he's still going to be a player coach, and he's just missed, or potentially, he would have missed a massive opportunity. And now Robinson's staying because he's won some games. It turns out he's staying because he's lost games at the moment, but he's definitely staying because he's won a couple of games. And now John Mousinho is nowhere near that job. So the reason I think is because the board is still very, very much in the camp of optimism, and they're looking back, and quite rightly so. They do have a reason to. They have got 5 seasons. There is loyalty there. It's not like he's been here a year, and there is an element of loyalty towards him. But I think that loyalty might have to be shifted sooner rather than later for, like I say, everyone's sake. It's just not a very nice place to be right now. And I imagine as a human being and as a sort of emotion from a human, I imagine it's not very nice either. But you won't admit that because you've got to be a Shone character as you would be. Last couple of comments on this one there before we move on. Matthew Bell again talking about the potential players coming in. I mean, that would be nice. We've missed that boat. Managers coming in. Chris Wilder and Michael Appleton are the only 2 choices I see that would bring the fan base back on board. But I agree, and that is only because they've been there before. And if you'd ask me to say who do I want, I don't know. I think I'm going to quickly go back as well. I've just seen is it Jake that says stay away from Michael Appleton at all costs. Avoid Michael Appleton at all costs, which is interesting because he did do well at Oxford. But he moved on to be Leicester's assistant manager. So
he did. My favourite memory of Michael Appleton was at the stadium down the road, should we say, 2-2 draw, David Norris, last minute equaliser. We were literally plummeting with nothing in the bank, and that was carnage. Anyway, let's fight on. It's not a Michael Appleton stream. It's a League One stream, isn't it, Jack?
It is, and Portsmouth are a side that we always like to touch on. We might have to be a little more brief on this than we normally are. We speak quite a lot about Portsmouth. I do apologise for rambling on about Oxford for a long period of time, but unfortunately it is topic of conversation at the moment. Pompey, last time we spoke, no manager. Danny Cowley recently been sacked. Since then, 2 wins and a defeat for the new manager, ex-Oxford United set-piece coach, doing really, really well. John Mousinho in the door and doing the business, Tom.
Yeah, very much so. It's been the ultimate resurgence, hasn't it? Well, it has for the first 3 games. Delighted with the way he's come in. Delighted with his start. He's really bought this team's attributes that we were talking about at the start of the season. Relieved and pleased to say there's renewed positivity about the play since the arrival of John Mousinho on the 20th of January. Very much been a case of a clean slate. We're front-footed. We're aggressive again. We play got a refound confidence about us. If you go back to previous episodes of this series on this channel, they weren't live, but they were recorded. Particularly the first few, I was waxing lyrical about this team's Pompey's attributes, and all of a sudden, you can kind of almost envisage the same coming back. I'm not going to go too early on it because it'd be ridiculous too with 2 or 3 games played now under Mousinho. Delighted with the transfer window. 4 really remarkable signings. Matt Macy's defined all 3 games he's played for us between the sticks. Riley Towler, great to come in and provide a bit of on-the-ball confidence. The same with Deshaun Bernard. And then obviously the fee that we paid for Paddy Lane, which we're around the sort of mark of about £250,000 plus add-ons. So, yeah, happy we spent some money. Couple of loan deals, obviously. Riley Towler's ours, so 2 loans, 2 perms, and happy days at Pompey for now, mate. At least
much better vibe. I can see it in the way that you're speaking much more positively.
I'm gesticulating
that's
again.
fair to say.
Yes.
I just want to say as well, really quickly, off the top of your head, I've seen this comment come up a couple of times, so let's just quickly answer it as we round up the Oxford and Portsmouth discussion. Nice way to end it. Jack, if you were to sign one Pompey player for Oxford, and Tom, if you were to sign one from Oxford to join Pompey, who would it be? Important to say, you can't do this for at least 12 months because we put that in the contract. But we can do it. We won't because we don't have any money, but we would try. And if we could, we would probably go, I've got 3 names. I'd probably go either Marlon Pack, we need a striker, a real goal scorer. I'd probably go Cobby Bishop.
We've got one of those. We've got a goal scorer, mate.
So I'd go Cobby Bishop, Marlon Pack. And you know what? With a rogue shout. Some people might not call it rogue, but I think he's a good name. I'd go with Ogilvy. It'd be interesting.
Oh, goal.
We need a little attacking fullback is what we need. We've got Anderson on one side. I feel like we're lacking one on the left.
2 words, mate. Cameron Brannigan. Job done.
I thought you'd say that. I thought you would. But like I say, you can't do it for at least 12 months. But
he loves the fact we can't do it for 12 months, doesn't he? He loves it.
Because you would go and do that deal. And right now, there'd probably be a couple of Oxford players that are thinking, I like the idea of leaving this club right now because we're not doing very well. Anyway, right, let's move on. Let's go to who has impressed you the most this month, because quite a few names. I'll start with you.
Yes.
Because I've got a couple ones down. Let's start with you, Tom. Who's impressed you the most?
Well, I'll just go straight in with Sheffield Wednesday. They themselves and Derby County are the teams that have won every single game they've played in January, and you literally can't legislate for anything else, can you? I mean, the last 5 games, 15 points from available 15. Obviously, Sheffield Wednesday playing a game in the back end of December in that run of 5 games, and Derby have managed to squeeze. I think they've squeezed one extra game in on Sheffield Wednesday, but I might be completely wrong in saying that. But yeah, no. So that was the 26th of it's the 30th of December. So 4 games that they've both played in January, won all 4 of them. Is it's pretty remarkable, really. I had said this about Derby County at the time when Paul Warne came in. I remember saying it on this episode, on this series, and the episode after that Paul Warne came in. I don't know which month it was, but I remember that first win that Derby got away to Cambridge, and I thought, and I heard Paul Warne talking, and I have a few close mates of mine who are Rotherham United fans, and they've only ever said positive things about Paul Warne, and they were gutted when he went, and they were kind of questioning why he dropped from the Championship down to League One, but you can clearly see why. He's building a project. Pride Park's a great place to manage, I can imagine, for him. When that place is rocking, it really is rocking. They have a great support base, and as do obviously Sheffield Wednesday, but we've been chatting about Sheffield Wednesday a lot more frequently, should we say, about the kind of the wins, because they've gone on so many fantastic runs in the last couple of months that we've been talking about. But yeah, if I was going to go between Sheffield Wednesday and Derby, I would probably go for Derby, but that's not to take away anything from Sheffield Wednesday's run this month. Just to say that Derby have been particularly remarkable, and I'm very impressed. And we knew that Paul Warne would do some fantastic things. I think it genuinely could be double figures for Derby when they play Morecambe. I'm not just saying that because, Morecambe had a bit of a battering in the Tonking from Ipswich, didn't they? That was a 4-0 written all over it result the last time they played, and they've now got Derby County, and you're like, wow, that's that's going to be quite something. And it's at Pride Park as well, so they could be quite a significant day for Derby. I don't know. Morecambe might turn up and absolutely, take everyone by surprise because it's League One, isn't it? But
talking of Morecambe, they've done quite well. I've sort of put them recently anyway. Like you say there, I think you're talking on the fact that Derby are a top side and they can do anything to any opposition. But I think Morecambe, we look at their recent form, they're definitely a contender, and they're one of the few teams I've put in there. Morecambe, 5 wins from the last 5 games. They looked dead and buried a couple of months ago. We were coming on here speaking about relegation candidates. Morecambe was certainly in that category, but 4 wins from 5 now. Out of that bottom 4, things are getting better. It's good to see things are getting better and a bit of a run now. And because it's so tight to the bottom of that table, you go on a couple of runs, you get a couple of results. I mean, like you say, Derby probably isn't going to be an easy one to continue on that good vein of form, but you can get a bit of a run going, you can get out of the mess because it's so close down there. So Morecambe, I'd say, are definitely a shout. Shrewsbury also really looking quite good at the moment. They hopefully don't turn up on Saturday. I don't think they're going to need to be honest with you. I don't think they'll need to turn up on Saturday to beat us. But they look really good as well. So I probably would I'd go Shrewsbury. Morecambe are certainly in there, and obviously I agree with you. Sheffield Wednesday, 5 wins from 5, really good for them. Underwhelmed. Let's move on to who's underwhelmed you there. Now I've put a note down on this bit of paper here. Lots of teams have struggled. Actually, if you look at the form table, a lot of teams haven't had a very good January. Maybe too much of a Christmas dinner, and they've managed to see through in the entirety of the following month. I don't know why this is, but there are a lot of clubs that are struggling. Oxford, we're not going to go into that, but they have been terrible. We did beat Ipswich actually, but other than that, it's been pretty low.
Well, funny you should say that. I was actually going to go for Ipswich as my not quite been amazing. Now I said that very carefully because they've been ridiculously good all season, right?
But we look at this month, and you can say what you want.
We are watching this month. Looking at this month. It's been concerning from an Ipswich point of view. They've won 1 game in 2023 out of however many they've played, 4. That's a concern. 1-1 with Lincoln, 1-1 with Plymouth, a loss to yourselves, and then that 4-0 win against Morecambe, which is not uncharacteristic for Ipswich to turn Morecambe over, with all due respect to Morecambe, and you've been talking about how good they've been recently. I think they've now got a tough pair of games there back to back, and it really shows some character if Morecambe could go to Derby and get something. But to have 6 points from the last 5 games, Ipswich, it's not tremendous reading. And if you are,
especially when they're chasing a side like Plymouth,
this is the problem, isn't it? If you're going to be considering yourselves in a promotion challenge, and now this comes from 2 fans of League One teams that are very much not in a promotion challenge, so please just put that out there. I'm not saying Ipswich are rubbish. What I am saying is if they want to consider themselves in that chat for automatic promotion from League One, you cannot win one game in January, in the month of January in League One, because it's just unacceptable, because the stakes are just ridiculously high. And that is more of a reflection of the fantastic effort from Sheffield Wednesday, Derby County, even Bolton, Peterborough, and obviously Plymouth in that shout as well. Those teams are relentless, and Ipswich have to maintain their relentlessness. They haven't been great recently, as Paul quite rightly says, and I think Nat's in agreement on the Ipswich chat or shout. Yeah, they've not been great, have they, Jack?
No, and like you say there, I think you emphasised the point. This is a side that have done incredibly well, but when you're chasing a side like Plymouth, who we will come on to, they also, of course, have been very good. We didn't mention them in the impressed category, but because Plymouth have been so good for the entire season, they're top of the league and continue to win games. We don't need to mention them every time, but we will say that. You're chasing a side like Ipswich chasing a side like Plymouth. You've got to be relentless. You've got to grind out results, and you've got to go on a continuously incredible run. If you don't do that, I mean, you slip away. Sheffield Wednesday are also now in that race. They're probably now, I'd say, well, they are second, and they look like massive game for those two on Saturday. Watch the preview out now. But with those two sort of battling as well, Ipswich, Derby, Bolton as well, these are sort of teams all sniffing down the neck of all the clubs. But in this case, Ipswich, you've got to be relentless, and you've got to sort of see
down
through
the neck.
Sniffing down the neck. That is
little,
it.
It's a little bit
breathing,
weird.
breathing down the neck. Sniffing down the neck. And the worrying thing is, I've said that before as well, and no one's picked up on that.
Down the neck. That's live on YouTube, that one. We'll take that.
That's new. No, we'll keep that. Sniffing down the neck. They're not breathing down the neck. They're sniffing. They're just there, just sniffing down the neck.
Each to their own. Each to their own.
But no, yeah, like you say there, they do need to just sort of be on a good run. And if you do fall away, you've got to, let's be honest, you've got to beat sides like Oxford. Even away, you've got to beat sides like Oxford based on the way we're playing and have played since then. You've got to, go on a little bit of a run, and we should be fine to see through that.
Circumstances.
There were. I don't remember, but I think there might have been. Was it fog? Can't remember. Don't know.
Something about a discussion on 75 minutes.
Not sure. Allegedly. We don't know what happened. Allegedly, we don't know what was said in that conversation, and we never will. But we did win somehow. Who else have we got down here? Cambridge are struggling. My boy Mark Bonner. I tell you, he's in a bit of trouble.
He's in trouble.
Now,
we're talking how good we was, weren't we? You were loving it.
You go back to the first episode of the Reflections. It wasn't live, and I mean, thank the Lord it wasn't live. But I said Cambridge have a chance to sneak into the top 6.
Did you?
Yeah. Purely based on how good they were last season and how Mark Bonner is an exceptional manager at this level. And they're now comfortably in the bottom 4. And they are terrible, unfortunately, especially in the last month. But really across the season, they have been really, really bad. And it's a shame. Jack loves a bit of neck sniffing, says Harris. I don't know if I do. Jack, you little neck sniffer, you. Brilliant. I'm glad. I'm really, really glad it's live. I'm really, really glad. Oh, good. That's going to be one that sticks. That and Ryan Hardy. It's been a good week live. What a week it's been.
Go live, they said.
It'd
be a great idea.
Live. It'll be interactive. Yeah. Never again. Never again. Cheltenham and Lincoln City also struggling to find points and 3 points, should I say, across January as well. It's getting really tight down the bottom 4. We said it a minute ago, but with sides slipping away, some frustrating results and some concerning results, bad runs can get you into serious trouble. And I think we're seeing a bit of that, aren't we? Right, let's move on then. We've got individual players. It's time for our lovely award where we say loads of names, and there'll be one name that we always forget, and then we'll get put in the comments and we'll go, yeah, probably should have looked at that a little bit more. But who's impressed you, Tom, this month? Because a few names, but pinpointing one was slightly difficult. I've got mine. Who have you gone with?
I went for Mason Clark of Peterborough United, and I was with a League One football hat on. I had the pleasure of going to watch him play for 90 whatever it was minutes at London Road last weekend. With my Pompey hat on, it was obviously not an enjoyable watch for me. Yeah, he's just so strong. He's such a young talent that's just, I was so impressed with him. He's picked up a couple of goals this month as well for Peterborough. Now, I was sort of thinking, oh, well, great, well done. But if you can have the sort of players that are really charging down the wing and actually popping up with goals as well, then, he's not just reliant on Johnson and Clark Harris. And I know that he's an attacker out and out. 23 years of age. He's had some, had a man of the match performance against Port Vale on the 16th of Jan. Footmob have got him down as an 8.1 for the Pompey game as well. 88 minutes for him. He's 4 goals in League One the season, 19 matches, 3 assists. The fact that he's popping up with these goals to aid Johnson Clark-Harris with that goal scoring prowess that he's got, he literally, we couldn't deal with him on the left wing. He was unbelievable on Saturday, and it just I know I said it a minute ago, but the strength, Jack, my word, that boy has got some serious strength. I don't know if it was just because we had employed ourselves completely the wrong way to try and deal with him, but he literally looked a complete class above. And at 23, he's got such a career ahead of him, that boy, definitely.
Yeah, you sound like you're impressed.
Do
here.
I?
PFC, you do, yeah. How much did he pay you to say that? PFC Jacob, Mason Clark is class. He's developed so much. That is from a Peterborough United fan. Tom, you've been certified as someone who knows about Mason Clark-Harris, and you've got that take right. Well done. But all just aside, he has been really, really good. I think in a against Portsmouth, I'll try to get my words out. Against Portsmouth, considering you won 2 games before that, Peterborough had to put in a good performance, and you have to have some big individuals like Mason Clark to step up, and he certainly did do that. And also as well, to sort of be sharing the limelight with Johnson Clark-Harris, you must be doing something right, because of course that player is extremely good as well. Sure, I've gone with Windass of Sheffield Wednesday, 3 goals and 1 assist in League One, but we should mention, although this is a League One reflection, he did get 2 goals against Newcastle in the FA Cup as well. So he has been in great form. I did highlight him as a player to watch out for in the game coming up on Saturday as they face Plymouth Argyle. But I think he has been really, really good. We're talking about somebody in form, somebody who you do not want to face as a defender coming at you this season, but also definitely this month or soon, because I think he is in the lightning form. Difficult to stop right now. Windass would be a name. Who have we got on here as well? I've got a couple of people. By the way, it is interactive, so you want to give your player of the month. Definitely put that in there as well
on the screen. I think we all need to see that, judging by what I was called by some Plymouth fans in the last reflection that we did. Do you want me to do it?
Yeah, you do.
I can see it. He said Tom knows ball, so I'll take that from you, Jacob. Really appreciate it, mate. Plymouth fans don't think so, but
no.
Well, some Plymouth fans do.
Some don't.
Some don't. But then always got a split opinion, haven't you? Always.
Yeah, you do, and I think we should give Plymouth credit, and they're top of the league, for crying out loud. They're top of the league. They're doing well. But no, I'd go Windass. I think he's been really, really good. And like you say, talking about side in form, but also player in form, Sheffield Wednesday, and now Windass. I think a big reason why Sheffield Wednesday are doing so well. Right, let's go to Club Suprise Package. Now, I'll be honest.
Can I just say, just before you do, I'm amazed you've not mentioned Barry Bannon yet so far, because he normally has had a mention within 39 minutes of this, but I'm surprised he hasn't.
He's been injured, unfortunately.
Well, there we go. Yes, I should have thought about that, but yes, I'm very surprised.
Top player, and he should be back for Saturday as well.
Well, tasty one Saturday. There's a video out about that, isn't there?
And you can watch that preview right now.
Is it linked in the description?
It isn't, but don't do it. Don't watch it now. Watch it after this one. Right, who have we got? Let's just see someone get their score prediction. Argyle 3-1. Wednesdays aren't convincing for me. Interesting. Up the Green Army. Right then, Suprise Package. I've gone with, and again, there wasn't a huge amount of nominees, because now we're sort of leveling it out. We're sort of seeing where teams really are. Tom's beating himself, so I'll continue. I'll go straight into it. Shrewsbury. I'm going to go.
Sorry, Jack.
No, it's fine.
I'm sure you can imagine who that was, but
yeah, it is good evening as well.
It is.
Shrewsbury, I've gone with. And I don't want to sort of sound disrespectful towards Shrewsbury by saying they're a surprise package, because they brought in some really good players in the summer and actually have built quite a good squad. And they did. And the reason why they're surprised ultimately, unfortunately, is because they sort of had quite a bad first half of the season, you'd say, based on what we thought they're going to have. And now they're picking it up again. So it's not really a surprise. But if you sort of looked at where they were at the first half of the season, you would say this had to come, but you weren't totally sure it was going to. It is now looking like it's going to click. So Shrewsbury, for me, now up to ninth in the league for Shrewsbury, considering they were sort of around 15th, 16th only a couple of weeks ago, probably the last time we did release. 41 points, 46 points for the first place in the top 6. That's how close it is. Shrewsbury certainly in contention. Exeter also had a really good month as well. They're also there or thereabouts. So, and I've got to mention as well, Morecambe. I didn't think they were going to go on an incredible run, and they're now out of the bottom four and looking like a side that have a really good opportunity to stay in the league. They are my surprise packages. Like I say, not as many nominees this month, but we'll see. Tom, who would you go with?
My concern with Morecambe, and I feel a little bit silly for going, oh, it's going to be double figures against Derby, and then not think, because I had Morecambe for my surprise package. I didn't think you were going to go with Morecambe, but anyway, doesn't matter.
It's fine.
That's the bit that we normally have a chat about, everybody. But because this is live, you will join us for that chat. So there we go. Happy days. My issue with, well, I don't have an issue with Morecambe because I'm really pleased that they're starting to get themselves out of the whatever, because everyone was absolutely lovely when we went to Morecambe. It was a long old way, and everyone's like, "Oh, what you doing up here from down south?" That kind of thing. I had many of those conversations, which was great, and met Tyson Fury as well. Did I tell you about that story? Have you seen the picture?
I see the photo. It's a
Yeah.
photo
Well,
I didn't. That is a collaboration I didn't expect to see. I'll be honest.
No, well, it was I was actually at the time. A little anecdote because you deserve it. To everyone watching us and joining us, I was actually paying for parking when my group of friends who I was with went and took a picture with Tyson Fury. So I literally got out the car, went and paid £1 for the privilege to park on the promenade in Morecambe. All we were doing was going to see the statue, get some fish and chips, etc., etc. And Tyson Fury jumped out of a G-Wagon and they started taking a picture. I was like, great. So that was £1 well spent. Anyway, I digress. My surprise package, you mentioned them all. What was I going to say about Morecambe?
Yeah,
Is
you're worried about Morecambe. You said a little bit.
they're away to Derby on Saturday, Forest Green at home, which has got to be a 3 points, because then they're going to Hillsborough the following Tuesday and then Peterborough at home that Saturday. I'm not being funny. I'd absolutely love it, but I don't think Morecambe are going to be getting many points from their next 4 games. And there's 12 available. I think they're going to be lucky with 3 or 4, if I'm completely honest with you. That's my concern. I'm not slating Morecambe because they've had a fantastic run of form, albeit you would expect them to be in and around for a win against the likes of Accrington, Burton and Cheltenham and maybe even Bristol Rovers to a certain degree. Obviously, and we were probably expecting the Ipswich defeat as well. Maybe not by such a scoreline that it was. I just think Morecambe are going to struggle in the next couple of weeks, Jack. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think it's good that they've got this run now because, like you say, that I'm looking at the fixtures. I think, if that didn't go the way you want it to from a Morecambe perspective, they could be in deep trouble after the results that could have gone there or not gone their way, should I say, with the games coming up. They could be not down and out, but certainly with a massive uphill battle. So yeah, I think you're right. I think there is challenges ahead, but they've got themselves in a position now where it's not win or bust. They have a little bit of a cushion because of a really, really good set of results in the last couple of weeks. Let's move on then. We've got done play of the season, manager of the month, and then sort of the roundup. We do changes the last month, but we always forget what we said in the previous month.
Did you watch it back?
No. So
I watched it back.
and what did I say in the last one? I'd watch this one back or watch the last one back, and I didn't do it. So I'm sorry about that. I always sort of remember briefly what I say. I think Oxford was expected to have a bit more of a positive conversation. That hasn't happened.
You did say that you don't watch yourself back at the start of the stream, so there's some continuity there. So we'll take that. We'll take it.
I'm consistent in saying I definitely don't. I definitely don't watch myself back because that would be not weird, but
I struggle.
Slightly weird.
I struggle.
Yeah. Manager of the month, Tom. Who would you go with? I mean, to be honest with you, the name that comes to mind straight away is Darren Moore. To be honest with you, and that's because he's winning a lot of games of football. And
I was going to go
games of football is good. Paul, I think most sides that have had a good run, but basically any of the managers that have just been put in the category of who's impressed you, they certainly are contenders. But no, I'd go Darren Moore based on a really, really good run that they've been on. I think sometimes he gets a lot of scrutiny, actually, even from some Sheffield Wednesday fans
Steve
about him maybe not being the man.
Great shout.
Like I say, anyone that's really impressed you, I think, is certainly a contender. But Darren Moore now sort of shutting those doubters up, and they look like they're getting somewhere, and Darren Moore is managing that.
I humbly ask this because I know we spoke about this and I think we spoke about it before we went and did our transfer stream, which you can watch back as well if you have the time / inclination to do such a thing. You can go back and there's some funny. It's a long one, but there's some, particularly the last hour I thought was quite enjoyable. If you're there for
Moore getting very tired.
Yes, if you're there for the young fan pod content, then the last hour is definitely for you. The first couple of hours are, be honest, they're quite Pompey based, weren't they? But
that's because you were signing players and we weren't.
Part for the course, yeah. I would like to humbly ask Sheffield Wednesday fans, and that's what I was going to say. We had a conversation and I said, shall I put the Sheffield Wednesday signings in the live ticket? He said yes, because quite a lot of young fan podcast viewers happen to be Sheffield Wednesday fans. I'd like to humbly ask what the concern about Darren Moore's position at the club was when there was the kind of the conversation, as I call it a conversation. Parts of the fan base, you could sense from an outside point of view, weren't particularly delighted with what was happening under Darren Moore. I don't know whether that was reflected in results. I'm looking at the league table at the moment and I'm thinking, how can you have any complaints whatsoever? You are 4 points clear in the automatics with a game in hand. So if you win your game in hand, you are top of the league and you're playing top of the league on Saturday. I don't know if you can maybe answer this, Jack,
No,
because I know you.
I think last season was where I think now the results are coming in the performance and also as well the league position that has definitely doubted or like I say, shut the doubters up, if I could use that phrase again.
Yeah.
But then I look at last season. There was a lot of, and you were in that boat. You're definitely not anymore. I can tell, but there is that level of getting relegated and then thinking that you're going to go straight back up, and that doesn't happen. You're like, God, this is not good enough. You know,
Look at Sunderland.
it's a bad manager, it's a bad set of players, it's a bad football club. But ultimately, it's not. You know, it's not. I'm not going to sit here and love League One because I'm, of course, creating content around it a lot of the time. But it isn't. You know, look, it's a very difficult league to get out of. It's not easy. The challenges you face are really, really difficult, and it's not just as simple as get relegated. Well, we've got championship players, so, you know, we'll just walk the league. You know, Derby County aren't top of the league, you know, and that's the way it is. Not so they can't finish top of the league; they're doing really well at the moment. But you look at them getting relegated, and maybe that's sort of. I don't know. I want to ask Sheffield Wednesday fans a bit more. I think tactically the football wasn't great at times. I think last season, like you say, they were sort of hovering around sort of 6th and 7th, and that isn't really where Sheffield Wednesday want to be, especially after the relegation. Of course, Darren Moore again, it wasn't easy for him. He got the points deduction, didn't he, when he got appointed as the manager, and that's where he ultimately did get relegated. But you still felt there was a sense of optimism and expectation ultimately to get out of the league. So, yeah, maybe I put that maybe forward. Moore is doing a great job. In fact, let's bring that up here. Moore is doing a great job for me. He's improved the team from last season. I think as well, recruitment as well. I was really impressed with the summer. I know it's easy to say now those players are doing quite well, but the summer is looking good. Right, we've got 1 minute until we're due to finish. So, Tom, it was January, and I know people are going to say, I'm going to mention this, because we spoke about January, and of course there was a transfer window during the month. Who won the window in your eyes? I put you on the spot. It wasn't in the running order. But I've just thought it's January. It's January reflection. We can't reflect on the month in League One without touching on the transfer window that went through it.
It wasn't in the running order, and you have caught me by surprise. It's a very good question. I think there's loads of contenders. I think obviously Plymouth and Ipswich have strengthened, if you can even strengthen Plymouth and Ipswich at the moment, because they are so ridiculously good. And it pains me to say that for both those teams. I think Fleetwood are a great shout. I think Burton are also a great shout.
Forest Green,
and I would, Forest Green, not just from a playing personnel point of view, but also one step above that as well. I think Fergie's a great guy to have around the place. And I think if you want someone who's going to get in there, rile people up and go, actually, boys, we can do this, you would want no one. I mean, he is fantastic in terms of, I would not be surprised if, exactly. I would not be surprised if Forest Green closed that 4-point gap to survival. I know they've played a game more, or even 2 or 3 games more, and 4 games more in some cases of teams down there. That wouldn't surprise me. And they've improved, and they've shown the guy he questionable dress sense. Can I just say I don't know if you just saw the picture of the guy shaking hands with Duncan Ferguson.
Yeah, he's their I think he's their owner or CEO.
Yeah,
he's a big part of that. Director of football. He's a big part of that club.
Yes, he's
You're right. He does have a questionable dress sense.
Outlandish, we'll say, without meaning to disrespect. Unique, that's the better word. Well done, Jack. Good use of adjectival agreement there, mate. Like it, really like it. My winners of the window, I've got to choose one. I want to put Pompey as an honourable mention. I want to do the same for Forest Green.
Also, Harris says Exeter haven't done about keeping hold of Giovanni Brown, bought some good players, and Harris is Exeter. They've had a decent one.
I think there's 6 for Exeter, maybe even more. Bolton about 6 as well. Yeah, I think probably.
You're torn. I can tell you're torn.
I'm
fact,
going
while
to
you
go
think,
for, can I
oh,
have
no,
a
Jay.
top three? Can I
Yeah.
have Bolton, Fleetwood, Burton? To not choose Plymouth and Ipswich because they featured too much already.
I would go winner of the window. Like you said, I don't want to repeat what I said, but I think Plymouth strengthening on strengthen is really impressive. Same with Ipswich. Who's shown ambition? I think Burton have. I think Burton have shown a real sense of ambition. They've had a really good window,
Charlie
and
Kirk's a great signing. That is.
yeah, and they've brought back that back a striker that's got a brilliant name that they had before, sold to Ipswich. He's now back on
Gaston
loan.
had me, yeah.
Yeah, and they did the one thing about Burton is they did have to sell that Adeboja to Bolton. Bit of a kick in the.
But then
teeth,
that would then say about Bolton's recruitment as well.
So yeah, I think you're right. I think Burton have done well. I think Ipswich and, like I say, Plymouth. Ipswich have spent money, but we know they've got money. But and the players they brought in, you can't argue with it. We can't sit here and because otherwise we sound jealous. They've of course got money to spend, and they've definitely gone and spent it. Right, there we go. That's what I've gone with. Please do leave a like on the stream, and Fleetwood as well. Yeah, definitely. 51 minutes of the stream. Amazing. We've had over 50 people in here the entire night to understand. And also we normally do this non-live. So that is, that is good. You can watch, of course, as a video that will be going up as a video. Please do leave a like. We've got 50 odd people in here now, so we can get to 50 likes. That's how it works, isn't it? Surely.
Before everyone goes, can we have score predictions for Sheffield Wednesday Plymouth in the chat? Because there were kind of things going on. I could see a few people going, let's
I did in part of the preview did a prediction and I said 1-1.
Okay. Greenacre said Sheffield Wednesday 1-0 sneaky win. Nat's going 1-1 on Saturday. Woody SWFC saying 1-1. It's one. I could foresee a draw 3-2 Wednesday 2-1.
I said a tight but entertaining draw. I think that's how I described it.
Okay. I don't know if Paul's a Wednesday or a Plymouth fan, but he'd take a 1-1.
Or maybe it's a neutral. Maybe he's just predicting from a neutral perspective.
4-0 written all over it for the real D1. 3-0 Argyle. 8-0 Peterborough. Wasn't the game we asked for, Daniel, but thanks for your input nonetheless, mate. Appreciate that. Who are Peterborough playing?
That's really embarrassing.
Do we not know who picked? Come on, Jack. You know everything about League One.
I should know. I haven't done the predictions.
I'll go through some of these. 2-1. Are we having a prediction? I think someone asked when's the predictions out.
Well, it would be, this show unfortunately has replaced that this week.
Oh, that's
I'm sorry,
not what
guys.
I want to hear. What are you doing tomorrow night?
I'm not here.
Oh, elusive.
I'm in Cardiff, if you want to know.
He's in Cardiff.
Yes, that's where I am.
I
was wondering if I could. No reason why I can't say. I'm not here. I'm unfortunately not.
Paul is an owl. Nice to hear that, Paul. Thank you for
I thought it was neutral.
That's
almost ruined it for me. I thought we were going to get sort of a sensible neutral opinion, but we're not. Well, we can give it.
Well, I was going to say there's none of it around here. Sensible neutral opinions.
Yeah, I said 1-1. So what are you going for?
I'd go 1-1 with you as well. I can imagine it could be quite boring. Sorry, I just feel like two top teams are not going to want to show too much of themselves. I see a similar feel to. Well, I'd like it to be like Arsenal Man United for 3-2 or something like that, just something ridiculous. But I could see a 1-1. I could.
Yeah, I actually describe it. Same scoreline, but I slightly disagree. I'd probably go with a bit more entertaining game. But maybe that's because I'm an optimist. I like watching football that is good fun. Not saying you're not an optimist, but that's that. By the way, shout out at Hillsborough as well. Really good to see from a League One perspective. Right, let's wrap it up. Let's finally go. Hopefully you did enjoy it. Like I say, please do leave a like. We've just done 4 hours of live content this week, myself and Tom. We are done for at least.
You had enough of me now, Jack, have you?
I think everyone's had enough of us, to be fair. I think that's the problem. Please do leave a like and subscribe. Content, by the way, is flying at you. Okay, you can watch the
not tomorrow
preview,
though, because he's in Cardiff.
Not tomorrow and not Saturday. Sunday, we'll be back for Sunday. There we go. So if you want to come and see me in Cardiff, come and say hello. Bolton the best in the world, apparently. Well, yeah, fine. I'll take it. I'm tired. Let's see you all very, very soon. It's been really, really enjoyed. Thank you everyone that's got involved. All jokes aside, interactivity has been very, very good. Thank you to the chat. Thank you to Tom as well for sitting through another hour of me and both of us, but me rambling on about League One and expressing my heavy concern over Oxford United and Karl Robinson. Take care, everybody. I'll see you all very, very soon. See you in a bit.